IBM in Europe, I'll go. Our kids were 2, 4, and 6 at the time. My wife probably thought we were crazy. Rachel still talks funny. Some of her words that she learned as a 2-year-old, like we don't park in a parking lot, we park in a car park. We don't go to the bathroom, we go to the loo. We don't have a hood of the car, we have a boot, or a trunk, I think, is a boot. They talk different. That was a tremendous experience, and I would encourage you, as I did earlier today, if any of you have an opportunity to work internationally, particularly when you're young, now is the time to take that risk. Now is the time to go out and see the world. Because once you get too comfortable, it's hard. Okay? So from there, I ended up running our European business for 3 years, which was terrific. And what I learned in Europe was very different than what I had experienced in the U.S. In the U.S., I had 1,000 people working for me in one location, all kind of under my command. When I got to Europe, there were only 5 of us. What I learned is the most valuable lesson I've learned in life so far in terms of where should your employees be? Close to corporate or close to the customer? Why? So what else do you learn by starting your career in sales? Not only how to sell yourself, you learn about your customers. I think it's one of the great failures of corporate America today. They get so comfortable in their boardroom, people aren't real anymore. So I still travel 3 days every week to this day, out visiting customers, getting real. Because if I'm out there, I know more than anybody else in our company. If I'm out there, rolling up my sleeves, being a meat and potatoes kind of a guy, I get a chance to see what they're doing. I can see things like those F's that the customer can't. Very easy for me then to innovate, to add value. And so I thought sales was great. I had to know myself. I had to know my customers. I had to know my products. I had to know my company. But I had the biggest one here. I knew the customer. So I had something that the company valued. When you get into meetings with somebody and they're trying to propose this or that, and I can say, well, I've been there. This is what the customers would say. Who can argue with you? So to kind of fast forward, came back from Europe, understood that people were important, the most important. Process was important to make sure things worked correctly. Technology was a key enabler of efficiency. But we couldn't do it all ourselves, so I embarked on a partnership program. Reached out and partnered with Canon, partnered with Ricoh, partnered with Xerox, partnered with Hewlett-Packard as a way to say to the customer, I may not be able to personally do everything, but with my friends here we can. And do you think companies want to do business with more people or fewer people? If I'm a company and I've got 1,000 vendors, is that better than if I had maybe 10 vendors? Which could I manage more effectively, 1,000 or 10? So companies expect organizations to be more capable so that they can have fewer, deeper relationships. So those 4 things today are kind of what define what I do. I work on getting great people. I work on making sure that the process is in place so people can be their best. I invest heavily in technology. And I work on world-class partners that help me appear to be bigger and stronger than I would be unto myself. Make sense? 1996, Kodak decided to sell my business that I was the general manager of US and Canada over. And naturally, they invited me to go to the new company. And I didn't buy the value system that that company represented. They offered me a lot of money to move down to Tampa, Florida. But they had it here. They didn't have it here. So what did I do? What should I have done? What are you going to do when you're faced with values that conflict with what you know is moral and correct? I quit. 3 kids in high school. No severance package. Not a lot of money. I quit. What would you do? Would I have compromised my values, taken $250,000 cash bonus to move down to Florida? Would you have done that? Whew. There's a saying that is also very important to me, that necessity breeds innovation. And you need a lot of faith. I walked out cold turkey. 3 kids in high school, ready to go. Oldest one ready to go off to college. Got accepted to Princeton. $40,000 a year. I have no money. I have no job. What do you do? I thought when I was at Kodak that I had great perspective. And I found that I had very narrow perspective, because until you need to get money, boy, all of a sudden the ideas just right from left. And I bet on faith and trusted myself that I had really valuable relationships that I'd built. So I started doing some work for a company, do a little work for another company. Pretty soon, we had a nice business. Pretty soon, I had employees. Pretty soon, we had a sustainable business that 5 years ago a company out of Dayton, Ohio bought from me. And then they asked me to stay on. So that $30 million business is now $300 million. Because we think like a baby, we stay close to our customers, I hire great people, we've invested in something called Six Sigma process methodology, which really is just about predictability. Comes back to doing what you say you're going to do and putting the measurements in place to come back and tie it together. We invest heavily in technology and partnerships. So now I travel a great deal. I travel 3 days a week. We work with very large organizations like at Raytheon. Raytheon has a problem. They're a big defense contractor and they can't figure out how to deal with this overwhelming abundance of paper. How many think the paperless office is a reality or possible? Some would say it's about as likely as a paperless toilet. Not very. We work hard with companies to help them become more efficient, and companies start using us as consultants. They like what they see with our technology. Next thing they're asking us to will you just run all of this for us? So we start with an engagement that ends up into something that we call an annuity business. What's that mean? It means it's a business that generates predictable revenue over time that makes our life a whole lot easier to not worry about where the next bill is going to get paid. Okay? So, started in sales, went to general management in a very big business after being international, went back to an employee of one, and then kind of back toward growing a business. If I can do it, anyone can do it. I mean that. Because I'm not the sharpest, whatever that thing is. I don't even know that. What can I ask you? What can I answer for you? Yes?
What's your company that you sort of started? What do you do? I know you say consulting, but what do you consult on?
So we work a lot with printing. And our largest new customer is Hewlett-Packard. Hewlett-Packard spends $250 million a year buying commercial print from vendors. They buy brochures. They buy stuff that when you buy a camera, it might be a warranty card, might be a brochure on how to buy other services. There might be a link into their website, whatever that is. All that stuff, Hewlett-Packard says, you know what? We're good at making technology. We're not very good at dealing with print. So one of the lessons I've learned in life is to be great at something. I believe in specialization. I believe that companies will pay a premium to buy expertise they don't possess. Witness, Hewlett-Packard, largest technology company in the world. Certainly you think they could buy $250 million worth of print pretty good. It's not their core competency, is it? It's not their expertise. They're willing to pay me 10% of everything I manage to do it better than they could. In fact, we average 42% savings across the entire supply chain. So the lesson in there is become an expert or a specialist at something. What's a supply chain? What's that all about? How many of you are learning about supply chains? Come on.